What is going on, YouTube? And welcome back to my channel, JoJo Speaks. I'm your host, JoJo Speaks from Faith Warrior Ministries. I'm so glad that you guys have decided to join me for this being my review for the season finale of Survivor Season 48. Y'all, I've had so many thoughts and so many concerns and so many opinions about this season. I really have enjoyed this season. This season has been a really good one. Um, and, of course, this is going to be a spoiler review because, if you haven't seen it, I don't know why you'd be watching a review for the episode. But it hasn't been since season 44 that Yam Yam won that a Survivor winner has been someone that I was rooting for. I often am disappointed with the winners of Survivor, although it is my favorite competition show, besides RuPaul's Drag Race, of course. But I still love it mainly because of the challenges. The challenges are mainly what keep me going back to Survivor because I just love seeing people do those challenges. But anyways, I'm so happy with the ending of this season of Survivor. But let's start off from the beginning. We start out with the final five being Eva, Joe, Kyle, Camilla, and Mitch. They have a chance to get an advantage for their final five immunity challenge. And so Eva wins the advantage. They have to unscramble some words looking at some of the symbols around the island and things of that nature. And so Eva wins that. And so we get to the challenge and it looks like Joe and Kyle are the front runners to be winning this challenge. They're in the lead for the majority of this challenge. Mitch is also in the lead as well. Camilla is lagging behind a little bit. They have that twisty net in the mud thing that they did in season 44, where Caroline or Carol, I think her name was Carol, either Caroline or Carol. I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Caroline, where Caroline was stuck in the net for more than half the challenge while, everyone else was moving on. But anyways, so they have to do this somewhat of an obstacle course of sorts, and Eva is able to not have to throw a ball into a net to get a combination of numbers to receive a key for the puzzle. Excuse me. But it turns out that advantage really doesn't come in handy really anyways because by the time that the last person gets to the puzzle, no one else really has a piece up as of yet. And so anyways, with the puzzle, at the end of the challenge, Joe barely gets any pieces on his thing, which is one of the issues that Joe has been having in this entire season of Survivor, that he's really hasn't been the best at puzzles, which is something that some Survivor players lack from time to time. But anyways, if you know puzzles are a big thing on Survivor, I would assume that people would practice puzzles every now and then. But anyways, and so it's really between Eva and Camilla. Eva and Camilla are the two that are doing best at the puzzle. But Camilla, who was the last person to get to her puzzle, actually figures it out and she wins she wins the final five immunity challenge. And with this immunity challenge comes a reward at the sanctuary, which we all have seen this reward for the past, I believe, at least 5 seasons in the final five immunity challenge, that the reward is a full dinner, and they get to bring one person. I remember back in, of course, going back to season 44 again, when Carson won the final five immunity challenge, and Yvonne Yam Yam and Yemen was like, "We're on a date." I'm sorry, I just love that. I just love that moment. But anyways, Camilla decides to bring Eva along with her on her reward, and so this entire time after the immunity challenge, I'm still thinking that if Joe is in the final, he's going to win. That is my thought altogether. And I'm thinking these people need to get Joe out. He is the biggest threat. He is the one person that I believe that will win this entire season if he gets to the final. And of course, that option does come up. Mitch brings up that option of getting Joe out, and he suggested to Kyle while Camilla and Eva are at the sanctuary eating, all muddy and whatnot. And so I'm thinking, if Kyle can get Camilla and Mitch to vote for Joe and have Joe and Eva not find out about it, then we can get Joe out. And that would be a great move. It really, really would be. But it turns out that the group decides that Mitch is going to be the one to go home, which I guess it is the easiest vote, to be honest. And if we are judging on loyalty, Joe, Eva, and Kyle have been the most loyal people in this Survivor season so far, and it's understandable. I of course was upset because again, at the same time, I was thinking if Joe gets to the end, he's just going to win, and I'm just thinking that Kyle is giving away his win to Joe voluntarily, and it's just frustrating the heck out of me. But we get to the tribal council. Mitch already knows that it's probably going to be him. And he's really, really sad about it. And those to me are the worst tribal councils when the choice is so freaking obvious. It's like, well, what's the point of us going to vote? We might as well just all raise our hands saying we're going to vote for Mitch, and just snuff Mitch's torch. But we get through the voting or whatever. Mitch is voted out, and so now we have the final four, which is Camilla, Joe, Eva, and Kyle. And so we get to the final immunity challenge, which is Sim Motion, which is my favorite immunity challenge of all time. I would love to play Sim Motion, and I wish that they would create Sim Motion in like in a way that allows everyone to be able to play it, because it just looks like the most fun thing ever. I'd probably be playing it for hours and hours and hours if I had the opportunity to play it myself. But I love Sim Motion. I was so excited when Jeremy won Sim Motion, and I believe it was Survivor 31 or 32 in Cambodia, second chance. Jeremy is my favorite Survivor winner of all time. I felt like he had the perfect season for a winner. But anyway, so Sim Motion is the final immunity challenge. And so Kyle says he's extremely excited about Sim Motion. He said that he's played it before, that he's excited and he's prepared himself to play it. And so that has me really excited as well. Because if you guys are remembering, I really, really want Kyle to win. So they start playing Sim Motion. Eva is the first one out. Eva's the first one out, and I'm like, okay, cool. Because the thing is, what I'm thinking is, if Joe or Eva win, then that means they are going to take one another to the final and make Kyle and Camilla make fire. And I'm thinking initially that if Kyle or Camilla win, that they'll take each other to the final and have Joe and Eva do the fire making. But Camilla and Kyle actually have an agreement that if one of them win the final immunity challenge, that they'll make one another do fire, which I did not understand initially, but I did not realize until after the final vote was read for the winner, that that was the smartest thing for both of them to do, because they both have been playing sort of kind of the same game, and so they sort of kind of cancel each other out in a weird kind of way in Survivor. But so I was just rooting for Kyle to win, because I knew that if Camilla won, Kyle would be making fire, and I did not want Kyle to lose the game just by losing in a fire making challenge. So Camilla is the second person out in the immunity challenge. And then we're left with Kyle and Joe. And Kyle and Joe, I think they get up to either 4 or 5 balls on the Sim Motion thingy, whatchamacallit, whatever. And Kyle ends up winning, and I'm so happy. And Kyle actually tells Joe before they do the immunity challenge that he's taking Joe to the end. He's taking Joe to the end if he wins the immunity. And Joe asked him straight up, like, what are you going to do if you win the immunity challenge? And he told Joe that he would take him to the end, and that's exactly what he does. He takes Joe to the end, and he makes Eva and Camilla make fire. And so Eva makes the fire first. I don't even think Camilla even gets the fire going, to be honest. And so Eva's fire is going, burning through the rope. However, Eva's fire kind of dies down a little bit, and she starts to panic, and I start to roll my eyes, because, to be honest, like, Eva is just annoying to me, and I just don't like. It seems as though she uses her autism as a crutch, and I feel as though, girl, you are going for your doctorate. I feel as though if you're you don't have to act as though you're at a disadvantage. Although technically, yes, she is at a disadvantage with being on the spectrum with autism. However, I don't want her to use that as a weakness. I want her to use that as a strength, and I want her to use that to propel herself forward. But anyways, Camilla encourages her, telling her, "You got this," even though Camilla still hasn't got a flame just yet. And turns out Eva ends up winning, and so the final three is Joe, Kyle, and Eva. So going into this final, once again, I'm thinking, well, out of these three, Kyle has the best strategic game, the best social game, maybe tied with Joe as far as social game is concerned. And so if Kyle just owns up to his game, owns up to the fact that he's been the most strategic out of all three, and owns up to the fact that Eva and Joe really have just played the loyalty game the entire time. They really haven't done too much of anything strategic. And if anything, as far as the votes have been concerned, everyone else besides Joe and Eva have been dictating who's going home. And Joe and Eva have just been sitting back safe because no one wants to touch them because everyone likes them. So, anyways, we get to the final tribal council. And it's very demure. It's very laid back. It's really not too volatile. Not too many hard questions. We get the majority of the same questions that we've been getting every year for the final tribal council. What is your what do you think our perception of you is, and do you think that we're right, or are we wrong about how we perceive who you are and what you are? What are the moves that we did not know about that? Excuse me, that we weren't aware of that you pulled off. Eva actually tries to take ownership of Shaheem's vote out. However, thankfully, Camilla raises her hand and says, "Kyle, can you kind of explain how that whole Shaheem thing went down?" And thankfully, Kyle is able to explain how he was able to manipulate Joe into thinking that Shaheem wanted to get Eva out, which in a way he sort of kind of did want to get Eva out. But Kyle added on a lie that Shaheem had showed Camilla an idol. And that would, make it more plausible that Shaheem is trying to get Eva out. And so Eva and Joe are shocked at the fact that Kyle was able to pull this off. And I wish that Kyle would have kind of bumped himself up a little bit more by telling a little bit more of his strategic game, because Kyle was really quiet during this final tribal council, which surprised the heck out of me, especially for Kyle to be a lawyer. I would think that he would be talking his head off, but I think that might have been because Eva was taking the chance to talk as much as she wanted to. Eva did the majority of the talking through this final tribal council. And that was kind of getting on my nerves and leading me to believe that Eva was going to win this season of Survivor, which would have made me extremely furious because Eva was the only person out of this final five that I did not want to see win Survivor. I would have loved to see Mitch win over Eva. I just don't care for Eva, even though I think she looks absolutely beautiful with her hair down at all the tribal councils. I love seeing that. However, just did not want to see Eva win because I feel like she's done absolutely nothing at all. But anyways, so Kyle is able to tell them how he was able to get Shaheem out, and really, and he also revealed that he had been working with Camilla this entire time. I thought that David would be pissed off about that, but apparently he takes that very very well. And David is really laid back. When he's not under pressure, when he's not being paranoid, he's a really cool guy. But anyway, so we get to the final vote. Eva gets 2 votes, Joe gets 1 vote, and Kyle gets the rest of the votes. Star and Mary, I believe. Yeah, Star and Mary end up voting for Eva. Um, uh, um, who was his name? The black guy. I can't remember what his name was. I think his name is whatever the black man's name is, who was the first on the jury. I'm really bad with names. I'm sorry, you guys, but he ended up voting for Joe because of the talk of family and things of that nature. Joe really didn't have much to say as far as his game is concerned, because he really didn't have much of a strategic game. He was just playing loyalty, and he also was trying to speak up for Eva as well. So I was dead wrong about the fact that Joe would win if he got to the final, because you have to remember that the majority of the time, not all the time, but the majority of the time, the jury rewards strategic moves, strategic players. They reward that over loyalty for the most part. And so, with the fact that Kyle was able to reveal his alliance with Camilla and also reveal how he was able to get Shaheem out, I wish he was able to also reveal how he was able to convince everyone to get David out as well as the older woman who was on the jury. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name either. But Kyle ends up winning Survivor 48, and I was screaming and I was watching with my mom, and so I was like, "Mama, he won! He won!" I was so happy that Kyle won. He's so deserving of it. I will admit, though, if Camilla had gotten to the final three, I feel as though she would be speaking up for herself and being a chatterbox, just like Eva was in this most recent final tribal council. And I feel as though Camilla and Star actually revealed to everyone during their whole reunion type thing that they do right after the final vote is read, that if Camilla had been in the final three, Camilla would have won, and I would have been okay with that. I wouldn't have been as happy as I was with Kyle winning, but I would have accepted it because Camilla is, to be honest, Camilla is more strategic than Kyle is, or was more strategic than Kyle was this season of Survivor. So I would not have been upset if Camilla had won. But Kyle ended up winning. I was so happy. I was so ecstatic for him, because he deserved it. Out of those final three people, he was the most deserving of the $1 million, and I'm so happy that he won. So, what were you guys' opinions on the final? Who did you guys think were going to win? Do you support Kyle being the winner of Survivor 48? Are you excited about Survivor 49? Make sure you leave a comment down in the comment section. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Press that big red subscribe button. It is free and easy to do. It takes less than a second to mash that thing. So go ahead and mash it forward, brother. Also, give me a thumbs up for this video. Let me know you're enjoying the content that I'm putting out on my channel. Once again, be sure to leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this season of Survivor 48. Do you support Kyle being the winner of Survivor 48? Also, be sure to press the notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. Also, share JoJo Speaks with all your family, friends, and loved ones. Let everybody know JoJo Speaks is out here in these YouTube streets. Well, that's all for this video. See you guys on the next one. Peace out, you guys.